When you find a nice balance doing what you love and you're following your passion and you're getting paid for it, then you're truly free, guys. Vigorous Steve here. I'm going to give you the blueprint of freedom, financial freedom that is. And after you're done incorporating some of the things that we'll discuss in this video, and even though you'll have to be patient because it might still take a year or two before you're really there. I mean, it depends on the situation you are in right now. We'll discuss all of that in this video. When you're at that point, you're your own man or your own woman. You make your own money. You're financially secure. You're truly free. And when somebody tells you to go screw your freedom, you're not going to be bothered by it. It's not going to faze you. Those words will fall right off of you because you are truly free. You are financially secure. You are capable to make your own money and make your own decision on wherever you might spend that money. And really, nothing in this world is going to touch you or bother you. So let's discuss all of that in this video. Before we get into it, please like the video. Leave a comment for the algorithm and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Step 1, you'll have to figure out the limitations of your passport. That's going to take some time. So while you're researching the limitations of your passport regarding taxes, regarding the visa situations of other countries that you might be interested in living in the future, you'll have to do a ton of research, which positives and which negatives comes with the passport that you currently own. And just because you own a certain passport doesn't mean you can't get another passport or a different nationality in the future. So that will be step number 2, researching how to get another passport in perhaps a more tax favorable country. Now, certain passports allow you to unregister from the country that you're living in and register as a tax resident somewhere else without having to pay taxes back home. And other passports are not like that. You might even have to pay taxes for 3 years or a lifetime while you still have a passport from the country that you grew up in, right? Your original nationality. Now, if your parents moved from one place to the next place and you got your nationality there, you're a second generation immigrant, so you're considered to be that nationality. You might be able to get a passport in the nationality that your parents came from because you have a birth certificate showing that those parents were born in that country, right? So it might be a little bit easier to get another passport without you having to renounce your nationality. And if you're still tax obligated in that country and those taxes are really not in your favor, and you don't even agree with how the government is spending your tax money, then you might have to renounce your nationality and go to a country where you can get a passport with a lot more favorable tax situation, right? There's a lot of research involved. It really depends on which passport you have currently and which passport you might be interested in, right? It's going to take some time. While you're researching all of this, find the highest paying job you can do without overtime, without getting forced to stay extra week in, week out, because you need to have some extra time to do research where you're going to end up at, right? Because you might not be happy in the country that you live in. The taxes might be absolutely astronomical, preventing you from really excelling in the future. I mean, if you're paying 52% taxes or 48% or 50%, whatever, that's a large portion of your income that you're losing. A large portion of your income that could set you up for financial security 10 years later. Financial security you'll have to manage through investments, whether that's assets or stocks or bonds or cryptocurrency or real estate, or right, a lot of things have perceived value, like art, for example, or NFTs, which is built on the cryptocurrency space. All those things you could purchase for a return of investment and a profit later on. Those things you'll need to research as well. Step number 1 is acquiring currency. You have to go with the highest paying job that allows you for time to research afterwards. So if you go with a job that requires a 4-year or 6-year or 10-year study, which requires a diploma of education and maybe a couple extra certificates of studies you performed additionally and a couple of years of working experience, and it's already 4 or 5 years for the education, maybe another years for a couple certificates, and then 3 years for working experience. Well, that's 8 years down the line. You're probably better off doing a job that doesn't require you to have an education, that's still reasonably high paying, like picking up trash, for example. There's nothing wrong with that. In many countries, picking up trash makes a lot of money. Telemarketing made a lot of money. That's what I used to do. I made quite a decent amount plus commission working there per hour alongside of going to university. So I would go to university, do my internship, get paid at the internship, which was disproportionate to the amount of money that I would make on an hour basis while doing telemarketing plus the commissions, right? I'm not really sure if that's still applicable. I haven't worked like that in, a very long time. So find the highest paying job you can get currently. If you don't have an education, just do manual labor. Some of the manual labor jobs pay quite well. And otherwise, if you do have an education, you'll need to land a job that at least pays you double of what you're spending. This way, you spend half of your salary on living expenses and you save half your salary so you can spend that on living expenses when you quit this job. See what you're doing here? You're working for a year, for example, allowing you to save enough money to continue the same expenses another year. If you spend $1,500 a month and you earn $3,000 a month, for example, it could be $2,000 that you're earning. You're spending $1,000. If you're earning $1,500, well, you have to find a way to spend $750 a month so you can save the other $750 or $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever, right? You're spending half, you're saving half of the highest paying job you can get currently. This allows you to do research for a year. This allows you to live for a year while simultaneously saving enough money to extend another year on your current expenses. If you're able to make a decent amount of money, you can save more, right? You can live as cheap as possible. Maybe you have to go live with your parents again, which is a little bit of a hard pill to swallow. But if you cover your expenses while living at home, and if you don't get in the way of whatever your parents are doing, right? You moved out of the house for a while, and now you're moving back. It's a hard pill to swallow. Your parents might not be happy with it, but you set it yourself out for 1 year. 1 year, that's all you're going to get because you need another year to make your dreams happen. This year, you'll save as much money as you can, allowing you to have financial freedom for 1 year afterwards. During this 1 year that you have a decent amount of savings, all the research that you've done over the first year, you can now put into practice. So you'll have to live like a cheap bastard for a while, whether you live with the parents again, or with your mom, or with your dad, or with friends on the couch. Whatever you can do to save money. You might have to lower your bodybuilding aspirations. You can go down to a cruise dose, 250 milligrams a test, and maybe dimethyl or an aromatase inhibitor. That's a super cheap cycle. Hormone replacement therapy plus, right? It's a little bit more than hormone replacement therapy. You should be able to maintain your physique. You go to a cheap diet. You get the most basic health supplements just to keep you going. You go to work and you research afterwards. And if you're really driven, you do your research first. You wake up early AF. You do your research first. And then you do this mind-numbing job that is paying you a decent amount of money just to bridge this period of 1 year. All right. You do all your research. You figure out the limitations of your passport. You figure out which passport or which countries you would like to visit, more tax favorable countries, more cheaper countries regarding the expenses, and countries that might offer you more than the country that you currently live in. That's what I did. I lived in Holland. I made a list of everything I wanted out of life regarding my hobbies, regarding women, regarding income, regarding traveling, regarding food, right? Everything. You just write everything down. Everything you find important, you make a list. I don't care if it's 500 check boxes, right? And you can boil it down to check boxes. You don't have to put a rating system in place. You either get it or you don't get it. You make a long laundry list of things you want out of life now and in the future, and then you start tacking off the boxes. Can I get all of this that I want out of my life in the city that I grew up in? Probably not. Hopefully you have a little bit more aspirations than the city you grew up in. And maybe you have so much aspirations that the country that you live in can't even fulfill your aspirations. And then you have to look somewhere else. So during the time that you're still stuck at home, making as much money as you can to have a year of your life where you can make your dreams happen, you have to do research, see where you are now and where you want to end up at, fulfilling all the things in your life that you want to have. Right? You won't be able to tack off 100% of the boxes. You should be happy with 95%, but you should not settle for less than 95%. And maybe you're very happy in the country that you live in and the taxes are favorable, or you don't mind paying taxes, right? That's completely your decision and up to you. You don't mind paying a certain amount of taxes to the country that you live in because it helps maintain the roads and school system and the police and whatever else. If you're okay with that, but you're still not happy in the city that you're currently living in, you're going to have to do a road trip, right? You go through all the cities that you might be interested in. Let's say you live in the United States and you live in some small town down south that nobody's ever heard about. So I wouldn't know because I've never been to the United States. Just an example, guys. And let's say you're not really happy there. So you make a little road trip. You go to New York, Miami, Washington, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, wherever you might find a new home. You do a little road trip. In that second year, you have plenty of cash during that time to see and live and experience every city that you are interested in. And again, you bring that laundry list of things you want out of life. And after a couple of days of living in that city or being in that city, maybe you stay a month in each city. That's usually enough time to really get a feel for it, right? Get into a normal routine. You find a gym to train at. You maybe get an Airbnb or a hotel, or you stay with a friend, or you do couch surfing, whatever you need to do to save money, right? You live there for a while, and you start tacking off the boxes. You might have to go through a couple cities to really find a new home, right? Now, you find a new home, you tack more boxes, now you have more freedom. You already experience more freedom because you're only able to tax 40% of the boxes in the city that you grew up in, and now you might be able to tax 95%. That's double. That's double the things you want out of life simply by relocating. And I know this all sounds very, very easy, but it's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. That's why a lot of people are stuck in the same place their entire lives. Do you want to be that guy stuck in the same place your entire life? You go to school, you get a job, you pay off your student loans and whatever else debt you have. Then as soon as that's paid off, you buy a house. Now you have debt again. You get a credit card to cover some of your expenses. It's no way to live, guys. Really, it's no way to live. So you have to get a little bit more resourceful and do some proper research and see where you want to end up. And maybe you have to travel for 2 years. I mean, I traveled through Asia for an entire year, and I already came to Thailand many a times, but I wanted to see what the other countries might offer. And now I have a very short list of 2 countries that I would like to live in: Thailand and Dubai. I thought about Hong Kong. I went there again with my wife a couple of years ago. When I traveled there, I thought Hong Kong was great, reasonably affordable, nice people, right? And then I came there again maybe 7 years later, and it didn't appeal to me. My life has changed. My priorities have changed. Hong Kong was not appealing to me. Tokyo might be a potential place to live, albeit for maybe a couple months in duration. And again, moving to Tokyo for maybe 6 months out of the year is a little bit cumbersome. So I enjoy Tokyo. I like it a lot. It's a little bit expensive. It's difficult to get in touch with people. But I found it very motivating to walk around there, even though a lot of people seem to be extremely focused on working for somebody else, right? The salaryman term applies there heavily. All the other countries I've been to, short window of time that I enjoyed myself, and then I feel the need to move on. So besides Thailand and Dubai, that's the only 2 places where I would consider to live long term. When I look at the taxes, it's favorable. Regarding the things that I want out of life, it's favorable. You can do a lot of things. There's a tremendous amount of freedom, albeit with certain restrictions, right? You can't do everything you want in Thailand or in Dubai, right? You still have to respect the culture, be humble, don't make a scene, all that kind of stuff, right? You can't act like you can act back home without certain repercussions. I mean, you're always a guest when you live abroad, and you have to respect the locals highly because you're deported like that. Now, during this entire year that you're accumulating wealth, right? Wealth that will help you locate somewhere else potentially, or at least focus on your business idea without having to work for somebody else. While you're accumulating wealth, both financially and intellectually, work on your social media, man. I know it's tough. I know it's annoying, but it is a lot of potential revenue that you're missing out of if you don't have a YouTube channel. And Joe Statics mentioned this to me many, many years ago when he started getting more popular, right? He went up from 90,000 to 400,000 followers on Instagram. And he really hammered it into me. Steve, this social media thing is the future. You need to start now, post every day, right? And really get your name out there. And I was a little bit stubborn, so shame on me. I always had other revenue streams like the coaching and all that stuff. But honestly, now that I've been on social media for 2 years, the financial opportunities that you get through social media are, quite substantial, guys. And there's a lot of opportunity that you might be missing out on. And there's a YouTube channel for everybody and everything. And it's completely oversaturated, but you can always build a niche through social media, a niche that will supply or complement your income while you're still working for somebody else. And once you make more money from social media, from a potential customer base that's all over the world, or at least with the internet so they can follow you, right? Do see what you're doing on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or wherever else. Once people know about you, a lot of doors will start to open for you. Hopefully you have a good personality. Hopefully you bring something new to the table. And even if you don't have a good personality and don't bring something new to the table, it's still good to be out on YouTube because you can consider that your resume nowadays. People can see who you are, what you bring to the table. If you introduce something new, or if you have a good physique, or if you speak intellectually, or right, there's so much you can extrapolate from somebody's YouTube channel or Instagram. And if you present yourself well and really offer a unique perspective, and you start to build your following, people that gravitate to you and take your advice to heart, right, and better their lives because of it, a lot of doors will open for you. And it will take some time, but in 1 year, you can build your social media quite well. And don't be, like I had a social media following of maybe 2,000, 5,000 Instagram followers, and I was not on YouTube. That was more than enough to have a ton of clients. Really. I had a ton of clients with 5,000 followers on Instagram. You don't need a lot of followers or subscribers to make a good living off social media. Of course, as your subscribers grow, and not everybody can get there. I mean, I know several YouTube channels were stuck at 5,000 subscribers for years, still make a good living, still make a much better living than any place they could work for somebody else, even with an education. I know people with an education and 10 years working experience that make less. They make good money, but they make less than a guy with 2,000 followers on Instagram, just marketing himself properly, right? And taking care of his clients, having a lot of returning clients, people that stick with him for years, even decades, right? Those are just guys that always stick around and always complement your income. And then you do a couple other revenue streams, you make a good living, right? That's why I made that video about having multiple revenue streams, which you guys didn't watch, but you should. You can watch it right here. It will set you up for financial freedom a year from now. A year from now. An education takes 4 years. Building up credibility within a company, allowing yourself for an open contract that has no ending, right? That's not really of this time. I used to have one, but then the company goes bankrupt and your contract is expired anyway. Those contracts are very hard to come by, and you might still need to invest 5 years, 10 years into a company. If you invest 1 year on social media, given that you have a good personality, or 2 years, right? During the time that you're working for someone else, you're building your social media, and then in 1 year that you're making your dreams happen, you already invested into your social media, which doesn't take too much time. In the second year will already pay off. And then the savings that you have, that you built on the first year, you might not even have to touch. Because let's say you were making $2,000 working whatever, you spend $1,000, you save $1,000. then this second year that you're doing, you have 1,000 of savings every month, right, to last another year. Maybe you're making $1,000 through social media as well. And as soon as you make your first, $50, you won. When you make $50, you already win. And it sounds silly, but every time I start a new business venture and I make $50, $100, do $20, right? When I first sold my first ebook, which was the post-cycle therapy ebook, was $19.99. Didn't even make $20. Then I knew it was starting to pay off. And then it just continues and you make money passively, right? The work is already done. The ebook is there and it will just continue to make money passively. And as your audience grows, you get more potential customers, more people who would be interested in purchasing an ebook. So you see the sales go from $100 a month to more. Every month it keeps growing because the audience grows. There's a lot of potential in social media. If you can take anything from this video, it would be to get your lazy ass on social media. And while you're growing your social media account, you do the job that pays the most. It might be a dirty job. It might not be a job that you're happy with, but you give yourself 1 year. 1 year is all you need to build a decent amount of savings and do all the research required to have savings for the second year and apply all this research that you've done to where you want to live. How are you going to pay taxes? How are you going to set up your visas? How are you going to make your business model work, right? All the things you'd research in your free time in the first year. When you start building your YouTube channel, you'll learn as you go along. I mean, you can look at my older videos and you see that I've learned a lot since I first started on YouTube. And it's the same with Instagram. You'll learn that particular posts get better reach. Higher quality content gets better reach, gets more engagement, makes your audience happy, right? And that leads into purchase of some of your affiliates or sponsors. I mean, I'm never afraid to shy away from the business aspect of this whole fitness and bodybuilding thing, because you guys, especially the young guys, can learn a lot from this. I don't want to be a one-dimensional channel just talking about drugs. I know a lot of you guys are living in Bangkok and have talked with me over the last 4 or 5 years, and I've given you business advice. You can let me know down below in the comment section, because I talk with you guys multiple times per week, how I've made such of a positive influence on your income and your revenue streams. You guys might be surprised that a lot of guys that came to Thailand pretty much broke, right? They had a little bit of savings, just like I practiced. You guys that came to Thailand pretty much broke, had a little bit of savings, made a little bit of money, maybe $1,000 a month, had a little bit of savings just in case. So they spend $1,000 at home and they're like, you know what? That's enough to live for now. They arrive at $1,000. Over the years, we had many discussions about multiple revenue streams. Guess how much they're making now? $10,000. Over a few years. $10,000 a month in an Asian country. That's a good income. That's a very good income. That's more income than most people would spend, unless you have some expensive hobbies like supercars or cocaine and hooker parties, which you can blow your money quite fast in Thailand if those are your hobbies. But if you're into bodybuilding, health, and fitness, you're probably not going to be doing that. Or you're really, really loaded, and then you deserve yourself a sports car here and there, right? It's your money. You can do what you want with it. Once you're comfortable with your earnings and your spendings, you quit your job, you move to wherever you want to move, and you can stay in the same city that you grew up in. That's all completely up to you. I couldn't get what I wanted out of life in bumfuck City, Holland. So I moved. I moved to Thailand, where I can get a lot more out of life. 95% of what I want, right? That's good enough for me. During the time that I'm in Thailand, I made sufficient amount of money in the beginning, and that kept growing and growing and growing as I got my name out there through social media. So why not start with your social media now while you're still working for somebody else collecting money? Because that first year of social media, you're probably not making so much money. And then once you've accomplished yourself on social media, however you want to accomplish yourself, I mean, you can make furniture, for example, right? You make videos making furniture. You can make money with everything. You can make money with everything, guys. Your hobbies, your passion, put it out on YouTube, put it out on Instagram, be persistent, post something every day or multiple times per week at least, be on multiple platforms, put yourself out there, put out or get out. That's how you have to look at it. And good things will happen. You just have to be persistent. Be persistent, and it will pay off within the first year already. Then when you go into the second year, whatever business model you want to do, you have the finances to make that happen. Maybe you have to put some money into an investment to purchase whatever you're into. I mean, it could be a million different things, right? So it's hard to pinpoint. You could put some money into an investment. You're already making a little bit of money through social media, doing what you love. And then you'll never work a day in your life if you do what you love. I do what I love. I mean, the social media thing is still a bit of a work. But I'm helping people worldwide. I help people locally here in Thailand. I help people worldwide. I'm doing what I love. And if I end up following my passion until 10 o'clock in the evening to the dismay of my wife, so you do have to balance it a little bit when you're married. You know, you can't take too much time away from wifey. When you find a nice balance doing what you love and you're following your passion and you're getting paid for it, then you're truly free, guys. I know this video is way too long. If you'd like me to talk more about this kind of stuff, let me know down below in the comment section. I know some of you guys that I've talked to over the years are highly benefiting from it, but that's mostly in Thailand because I talk to you guys in person at the gym. And I see a lot of you reach your goals quite fast, right? By getting on social media, by doing all the affiliate work, by focusing on revenue and making sure that your passion is being monetized. That's the key here. Monetize your passion. You will never work a day in your life. And if you're working or if you're following your passion from 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 in the evening, guess what? All those hours that you're following your passion, you're setting yourself up for freedom, financial freedom, that is. I'll leave it at that, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're looking for the most comprehensive guides to bodybuilding pharmacology, you can find the ebooks on my website, vigoroussteve.com/shop. Consultations always available. You can find the rates in the consultation section. Follow me on Instagram at vigoroussteve. Front double bicep for the financial free crew. You guys are awesome. You know what to do. I hope to see you, all of you in Thailand. I know some of you are queuing up to come over here. I'd love to see all of you real soon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.